We have an update on the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's not looking good. Welcome in, another episode, Seth Floyd Show, this time from my bedroom. I keep you on your toes. Office, back in my bedroom. Office, back in my bedroom. That's the way you keep content real good. You know what I'm saying? Keep you on your toes, keep you guessing. Welcome back in. Please, guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel. You guys are crushing it. I appreciate all the engagement. You guys are awesome. Come on this journey with me, okay? You'll never miss a video if you subscribe, you comment. I'll give you shout outs, things like that. Keep it going, guys. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Got some new hats tonight. Not really new. I've had this one before, I think, but this one right here, this is the golden goose.
And I got this golden goose.
The golden egg.
Golden eggs.
Is that a saying? Did I just make that up? I might have. This is Chuckers, okay? If you know, you know. Treasure Valley Community College. What up, Ontario, Oregon? If you know, you know. Thank you. Shout out to Brooke Hansen and, excuse me, Brooke Rooks and Sean Rooks for the gift. Love you guys. Miss you guys. Glad you got the hat in the video. You're right to call me out on it. It needs to be here. That's how great of a hat it is. Okay. Here we go. Tonight we're discussing the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, if you have been here from the beginning, you know my stance on the Eagles. Okay. On paper, they've made some additions that are pretty exciting. People are pretty pumped off of the Saquon Barkley edition, getting AJ Brown and Devontae Smith locked up. They had a good draft. Cooper DeJean, I still don't know. I think it's DeJean. Cooper DeJean, who I really wanted the Niners to take. But I have one big issue. And ESPN, specifically Tim McManus, confirmed it for me. Okay? My big issue with the Eagles is the head coach and the quarterback. Now, to be fair, I'm going to adjust my hat a little bit. To be fair, I have bigger issues with the head coach than the quarterback. I have bigger issues with Sirianni than I do Jalen Hurts. But Tim McManus came out with this article, okay, and he published it on ESPN. Now, I'm probably getting in a little bit late. This article came out a week or two ago, I think. We decided to do the video now, where he kind of details and highlights some of the issues that went on last season with Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni. Now, I just want to preface this for anybody who's not super locked into like the football world. Like, guys, this does not happen. This is like high school drama type of stuff where the head coach and the quarterback really can't get on the same page, and there's like backbiting back and forth, and a player just really doesn't trust the coach to the point where he's like ad-libbing through the season. That is like high school drama level stuff, okay? Especially when the person who is really causing the rift is the head coach. I want to highlight that for sure. When the child in this relationship is the head coach and not the player, that just does not happen, okay? Now, the report was, there's a lot of things. I'm not going to read the article to you just for the sake of time, but the report was that Jalen and some players on the offense did not trust Sirianni's X's and O's, to the point where, near the later part of the season when they were like closer to 10-1 or they've been winning, like Jalen is ad-libbing down the stretch. They're talking about it. I can't remember what game, but they're losing. They're trying to come back. They've called a play. Jalen and AJ Brown just kind of ad-lib and try to throw a deep ball down the sideline, and it gets picked off, okay? Might have been the Seattle game. Not sure. Can't remember. I think it was the Seattle game. But they're ad-libbing, not trusting the X's and O's. Now, I know he wasn't the play caller at the time, I don't think, but it's like his offense still. We know that their coordinators were not great last year anyway. But and Sirianni, to his credit, he covered for Jalen after and said, well, we were trying to throw a deep ball, trying to draw a pass interference and get better field position. But, guys, that is not normal. That is not normal NFL behavior. The fact that Sirianni kept his job after this kind of stuff is just mind-boggling. That your head coach, your job is to freaking build a culture and sustain a culture and get everyone to buy into the team and buy into the product and buy into the process and like everyone pulling in the same direction. All these cliches that you talk about. Like they literally do not trust their own head coach. That is a problem, guys. That is not normal. That is not normal at all. Okay? I want you to know. If you don't know, that's not normal. That's a red flag for sure. Okay?
It's a relationship that's a work in progress, right? So last year, there was some disconnect, right, between them in their personalities.
Were they not on the same page the entire year? Because I want to stop you, because that's what you just said is important to the conversation, because they started 10-1. Everything was all rosy. You never heard about their relationship. All of a sudden, they finished really, really bad.
Those 10 wins were a grind from what I was told. Every win felt like a really big feat for them because of the challenges that they were facing in terms of what they were doing on offense. It was Nick Sirianni's show.
100%.
It was all Nick.
Yep.
Play call, everything you saw on that field was Sirianni.
Diana Rossini was on the Ryan Russillo podcast like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, okay, pretty quick after this article came out. And she's pretty plugged into a lot of things. And what she was talking about, along with confirming like things Tim McManus wrote, okay, what she was talking about was how this hire of Kellen Moore, okay, was brought in by Howie Roseman. Golly, I suck at names, man. Howie Roseman, okay, Howie. We'll call him Howie in case I'm still screwing up his last name. Howie, okay, the GM. He brought in Kellen Moore to act as a buffer between Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. Now, they might not have said the word buffer, but essentially it was to like distance the relationship between Jalen and Nick Sirianni. If you remember, like, childish things Nick Sirianni did that clearly Jalen didn't like. We talked about this in this video, one of my first videos I did, where Sirianni, there's a timeout and they've got the camera on him on the sidelines, and you see Sirianni look across the field and flip the bird to the other sideline, okay? And Jalen Hurts, who's right there, has to tell him to stop. Jalen is the grown-up in this relationship. That is a problem. That is a problem. So they brought in Kellen Moore to be this buffer, to be like the offensive guy for Jalen so he doesn't have to deal with Nick Sirianni. You brought in a third party so that the top person in your organization, at least the top person in charge of the football team, won't have to deal so much with the most important player on the field, your quarterback. Guys, that is trouble. That is all signs point to disaster. Now, a couple things, okay? They bring in Kellen Moore. Now, Kellen Moore is fine. He's been in the head coaching mix these last few off seasons, but he hasn't landed a job. One, that might be a red flag. I don't know all the details. Maybe he was offered a job and he turned it down for more opportunities as an OC to get more ready. That's possible. But all I know is he was a really hot name and still has not become a head coach. He had 1 year with the Chargers, and then Brandon Staley was fired. The Chargers were fine, but their record wasn't great. Like, it wasn't life-changing or franchise-altering what he was doing with Justin Herbert. But maybe he'll do it with Jalen. I don't know. He was good with the Cowboys for a bit with Dak, but clearly there was some disconnect. Mike McCarthy, who everyone thinks is the village idiot, and maybe in the playoffs he is, but regular season he's won a lot of games. He let Kellen Moore go. And guess what? Dak got better once Kellen Moore left. I'm just throwing that out there. Dak Prescott had the best season of his career when Kellen Moore was gone and McCarthy took over. So take that for what it's worth. Take that for what it's worth, okay? Now, I don't know if this completely fixes what was going on, but it's a red flag nonetheless. They're hoping, essentially, Howie made this move, hoping that he can recreate 2022 with a really strong offensive coordinator and a really strong defensive coordinator, but we're focused on the offense right now. When they had Shane Steichen, who's now the head coach for the Colts, and look what he did with the Colts. Look what he did with Anthony Richardson and then Gardner Minshew. Like, he clearly knows what he's doing with quarterbacks, and it clearly worked with Jalen. As soon as he was gone, things struggled, okay? And so they're hoping Kellen Moore can recreate that. Golly, man, I would bet against that it's going to completely work just because you have such a disconnect between the quarterback and head coach. Okay? Your head coach essentially doesn't bring anything to the table. Nick Sirianni doesn't bring anything to the table, guys. Eagle fans, tell me what he brings to the table. He can't call plays. He had that taken away from him by Howie in that 2021 season. They gave the play calling to Shane Steichen, and oh, guess what? Once they did that, they were really good, and they went to the playoffs, and yeah, they lost the playoff game, but that was like huge after starting 2-5 or whatever they started. So he doesn't call plays, so okay, he must be a good culture glue guy. I guess not. Apparently not. Like, what does Sirianni bring to the table? It's nothing. It's nothing. He's a child. Unless he's gone through some huge, like, growing up in this offseason, like, he is a child. And it's hard to expect things to change. And I know, like, Eagle fans, they think that this is, like, they've got the bad people out of the building last year, the two coordinators. Okay, can't even remember their names off the top of my head. They think they've got the monkey off their back, that they can get back to their 2022 ways. And here's my response to that. I'm not saying that's not possible. That's certainly on the table, but it's far from a guarantee. This situation is a lot like when my daughter, okay, the other day was asking me for a push pop. What do you guys call them? Do you guys call them otter pops? We started calling them push pops in my house. I don't know how I feel about that because I always called it an otter pop growing up, but I don't know, whatever. She calls it a push pop or a popsicle. It's definitely not a popsicle. Popsicle comes on a stick. Anyway, one of those little push pops it's in the plastic tube. Anyway, she wanted one of those. As she had just gotten done 10 minutes earlier, fighting with her brother, being really mean to her brother, and hitting him. She probably hit him. She does that a lot, okay? Trying to teach her not to. But I like that she can defend herself. But whatever. This was unprovoked, and she decided to hit him. And I was like, sorry, princess, you cannot have a push pop because you were mean to your brother earlier. And her response was this. She said, I promise, Daddy, I promise. If you give me a push pop, I will not do it again. And I don't trust her. She has to prove it to me first. I tell her, no, maybe tomorrow if you've proven that you've been nice to your brother and been kind to him, then I'll let you have a push pop. That's the same situation, kind of. Howie wants a push pop. What I'm saying is, until you show me that you've fixed things, in my head, I have to assume that it is still a problem. Kellen Moore, as good of a coordinator as he is, do I think that he is like the end-all be-all, got answers to everything? No, definitely not. He's probably good with X's and O's, but to fix troubled relationships, like he's never been a head coach. He doesn't know how to do that. He doesn't know how to build a culture, or at least he's never proven it. So it's hard for me to just like buy in that this will not be an issue at some point this season, okay? And let's turn to the defense. The defense was a problem last year for Philly. Probably one of the worst defenses in all of football at the end of the year, okay? I think there's some advanced stats, advanced metrics. I don't have it in front of me, but down the stretch when they lost 6-7, they were like 31st in the league defensively, okay? So you bring in Vic Fangio, who in his day, guys, I love Vic Fangio as much as anybody, okay? He was there with Harbaugh for the 49ers when they had some dominant defenses. But man, what makes you think after last season in Miami that Vic Fangio has all the answers? With a defense that was already pretty broken, he comes in and yes, they made some additions that they assume are upgrades. What gives you any kind of confidence that Vic Fangio is got it figured out on defense? Like their defense last year in Miami was less than exciting. Definitely down the stretch. I know they had some injuries, but all year they were less than a dominant defense for sure. So I just have questions, okay? I'm not saying it's a lock that they're terrible. I've predicted that the Cowboys are going to win the NFC East, which I'm going to do a video on that. And if you're thinking to yourself, what a clown, I'm thinking the same thing. I feel less good about my Cowboys prediction based on how things are going for them at the moment. But I'm still holding true. I'm not to the point where I'm ready to jump ship on that prediction because I don't think the Eagles have it figured out. I think there are more question marks with the Eagles than answers, okay? Kudos to them for making changes, and they didn't just run it back with everybody. You couldn't possibly do that. But they didn't make the biggest change, and that is getting rid of Nick Sirianni, okay? Here's my official prediction, and I think Howie is really smart. I would have fired Sirianni, but I think this was Howie's thinking, okay? He's going to bring in an experienced defensive coordinator who's been a head coach and had success in the league. He's going to bring in a young, pretty hot offensive coordinator in terms of like his momentum to become a head coach, even if it's slowed down a little bit over the years. And this is his thought. He's going to give Sirianni one final chance. He is as hot of a seat in the NFL as any other coach in the league right now. And if things don't go how they went in 2022, or pretty close to, meaning like to me, they have got to get to the NFC Championship game. If you lose to the division in the division round, either one as like a home team and you lose to a team that was worse than you were favored and you lose, that's going to get Sirianni fired, even if it's in the division round. Or the flip side, if you don't win the division and you go 10-7 and you have to play on the road in a San Francisco or Detroit and you lose, or you go to Dallas, definitely, if you go to Dallas and you lose in the division round, you're getting the boot. And his plan is to promote, my guess would be Kellen Moore, not Vic Fangio, but one of those two guys. And he's like, look, I have already put it in place. It will be an easy transition. If Sirianni gets the NFC Championship game, there's a good chance he'd be back, I would imagine. But I don't think they're getting there. That's just my official prediction. Okay, guys? And that's what I've got for you, okay? I'm just kind of taking a victory lap in this video because I talked about this. I talked that Sirianni and Jalen Hurts is a problem, and everything in that article points to it, that it was as big of a problem, probably a bigger problem than people want to admit. They want to blame the coordinators, but if your head coach cannot build a culture and get people to buy in and believe, then you've got an issue. Okay, and they still have that issue. Until proven otherwise, to me, they still have that issue. Okay, it's one thing to lose a bunch of close games and luck just doesn't go your way. Another thing to just quit. And when you look at some of those games, they just quit. After they lost to San Francisco, after they lost to Dallas, and then definitely they lose to Seattle in that Monday night game where Drew Lock hits that touchdown in the final minute. From then on, it was wheels came off. They didn't even look like they were playing hard. You saw that Tampa Bay Philly playoff game is one of the worst performances by a playoff team I think I've ever seen. It was like, it's Tampa Bay. It's not even a hard place to play. It's like warm outside. You go from Philly to Tampa Bay where it's warm. Maybe it's a little more humid. Sorry, guys. It was probably like 60 degrees that night. The stadium's not that loud. It's Tampa Bay. And you couldn't show up. You didn't play. It's because they'd quit. It's because they don't believe in Sirianni and they quit. And he better do something pretty drastic to get them to buy in. It's not enough for them to say, well, I buy into Kellen Moore, but I don't buy into my head coach, because your head coach is the figurehead. So unless he has done something to really fix whatever his gimmick is, or he's just done something crazy dramatic to pull the wool over their eyes and get them to believe again, I don't see it. And I think there's going to be problems. I'm not saying they're going to be 5-12 or whatever, but I don't think they're winning the division, and I think it's on the possibility, the table, that it falls off and they go 9-8 or 8-9 and lose all playoff spots. What I'm trying to say. So anyway, that's my official thoughts on the matter. Thank you for being here. Okay, one more time, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and make my dreams come true. Only you guys can. You guys can really help me out. Free likes, free subscriptions, and that's what I got. I'll see you later this week. Probably talking Cowboys. I'm out. Ooh, I missed.